Welcome to War Maidens. Looking to protect yourself or deal some damage?
No. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking to give you peace of my mind, because when we're looking at the weapons you have available, oh boy, we gotta talk.
Shadowverse.
This video is sponsored by CampfireWriting.com, one of the best programs to be able to manage your world building and writing documents that you can find. So stick around after the video to find out more.
Greetings, I'm Shad. Now, look, I know, I get it. Lots of people have reviewed the weapons from Skyrim already. It's been done. But I haven't done it yet. And also, this is going to be different, because I'm willing to go there. We are going to be talking about those things in regards to the Skyrim weapons that no one's been daring to go to yet. Skyrim weapons exposed. The first thing that we need to address, there are some very problematic undertones, and that needs to be addressed.
Skyrim belongs to the Nords!
Skyrim is a multicultural place. We invited the Thalmor in, okay? I'm so sick of the iron daggers everywhere. For some reason, whenever someone wants to learn how to smith, they'll just make iron daggers. Why iron daggers? And why are they all the same? It's like, is there, some strict patent or rule being enforced in all of Skyrim saying, no, if you make a weapon in this territory, it has to be of this design? Have you really noticed and looked closely at this? Look at all the iron daggers and then all the steel daggers. All the steel daggers are the same and all the iron daggers are the same. But the iron ones are different to the steel ones. You can't make an iron one that looks like a steel one. You can't make a steel one that looks like an iron one. Okay, see this steel sword? Why couldn't you make one that looks like that out of iron if you wanted to? Or what if you look like the iron sword and you wanted to make a sword that looked like the iron one out of steel? But you can't, because there is this weird, imposing rule, authority, law that is affecting the very fundamental reality of their universe, which says, no, you're not allowed to. If you want to make any other sword out of steel to look different from this steel sword, it's only allowed if it's the Imperial sword or the curved. So they have curved swords, so the curved swords, and that's it. We want to move on to steel, but to move on to steel, we should mention the smelting, because to make steel in Skyrim, you don't just get iron and add a bit of carbon, you get iron and corundum. And it seems like equal, because look, if you look at a corundum ingot and you look at an iron ingot, they're exactly the same size. And so when you combine them two in smelting, that's saying equal parts iron, equal parts corundum, and it makes steel. That's not how you make steel! Moving on, steel weapons now. So, everyone says that, particularly the most classic steel weapon is this one here, the one-handed steel weapons, which is, an arming sword. And everyone says that it's way too bulky and oversized. And look, that would be right if we were in the real world, but this is Skyrim, where clearly everyone is just really hard and really strong, and is made for the appropriate size for the people of Skyrim. Obviously, the blade sword isn't made out of steel. It's made out of a 1,000-folded high-grade Nippon steel, and it can cut through anything. What's also really useful, and this is clearly why Skyrim is has different laws of physics, is that the ore just regrows, kind of like crystals and stuff. Just leave it for a time, and it'll just replenish itself. It makes no sense, but it's useful. By that logic, you should technically be able to plant ore and just let it grow, have like a garden of ore. That's the most dwarf thing I've ever heard. That is metal. The other thing that you need to understand about Skyrim weapons is that you might have noticed there's no spears. This is because spears have actually been outlawed. It turns out anyone who was using them was just wiping out everyone else, because, it's a spear. And us sword lovers, we were like, that's not fair. Look, just because the spear is a better weapon and it's able to just defeat everyone because it has these great qualities of reach and stuff. No. All right, we want the swords to be the primary weapons in this world, and so we outlawed those spears completely, and so swords back in the main set because the spear was just too privileged and actions need to be taken to the point where all spears rightfully needed to be burnt at the stake. And then we turn the spearheads into iron daggers. The next weapons that we need to talk about are the 11 weapons, which is a name that just obviously doesn't make sense. There's 9 all up, and it's not 11.
No, Shad.
What?
Elven weapons. Elven.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 11.
No, Shad, it's elven. They're like the elves use these weapons. That's why they look like elvish weapons.
Now we come to the dwarven weapons. Now there is a massive, huge plot hole with the dwarven weapons, and it's their size. Look at the dwarven greatsword. It's huge. It's a greatsword for a regular person. Do you reckon a dwarf is going to be? Dwarves are tiny. Well, not tiny, not like, but they're about here. Like the dwarf weapons are just clearly oversized for dwarves. So why are the dwarves making them? And now if you say, Shad, the dwarves in Skyrim are tall as regular, have you seen a dwarf? The dwarves in Skyrim are so small because they got smaller that you can't even see them. They're tiny. So how can the dwarves use their weapons? It must be making for everyone else, but then what weapons do they use? You go to a dwarven city, you'd think you'd be finding weapons used by dwarves, and they're all the regular sized person weapons. Glass weapons. What a great idea. What should we make a weapon out of? I got a glass! That's great, isn't it? It does 200 damage, you can only use it once. So glass weapons...
No, Shad, they're
What?
made out of like special fancy glass that doesn't...
Really? All right, you make a weapon out of glass and tell me how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want extra proof about glass being a dumb weapon idea, okay, look at the armor, okay? Is that actual glass armor or is it mostly metal? See? So the armor is the proof and evidence that the glass sucks. Otherwise they'd have the whole armor made out of glass. But it's not. And finally we come to the Dragonbone weapons. Now the Dragonbone weapons are easily the hardest weapons you can get in all of Skyrim. Also interesting to note, the Dragonbone dagger actually does more damage than the greatsword of like the steel or iron, so it's not about the size. With how hard the Dragon's Bone sword is, it enables you to be able to penetrate really deeply into your target. Like you thrust that thing in and it will go so deep. Dragonbone weapons are particularly offensive to dragons, obviously. I mean, imagine if you're a dragon, you get shouted at by some guy, and you don't really know what they're saying, but the dragon does, and it could be anything, and then you get beaten to death with your cousin's hip bone or something like that. That's ultimate humiliation. So the Daedric weapons are a little bit like the ebony ones. They're even made out of ebony, but it's not right to say that they all look alike. They're different. So everyone tries to criticize the Daedric weapons for how spiky they are. But no, they're not spiky, they're edgy. There's a difference. And people who can't handle how much edge these weapons have, well, they shouldn't use them, just leave them alone. Why are they even, bothering looking at these overly edgy weapons, all right? If you can't handle them, don't get offended by it. Just ignore them. It's that easy. Let the overly edgy weapons be edgy, and you can have your safer weapons in the spaces that you want to use them in. Why is it that people who usually prefer elven weapons are always offended by that? I don't get it. So these are the hard-hitting truths about the Skyrim weapons that no one has been willing to address until now. But I have. It's out in the open. It's done. And it obviously needed to be said, so I do appreciate you, for watching. Thank you, and I hope to see you on the next video on Shadiversity, where we tackle some very important subjects and research and look at some important things. And I hope to see you on the next video. So until that time, farewell.
As was mentioned, this video is sponsored by CampfireWriting.com. In addition to Campfire Blaze's great features of interactive maps, timelines, your ability to make your own race compendium, internal word processor, character backgrounds, world-building notes, enabling you to keep track and managing your growing story and vibrant world, CampfireWriting.com brings 2 new brilliant features: Learn and Explore. The Learning feature offers great articles on writing, world building that can also be submitted for approval to be presented on the website itself. creating a one-stop shop for writers, world builders, tabletop role players where you can learn about whatever you need. The next feature is Campfire Explore, where, in Explore, people can create public projects of their behind-the-scenes campfire writing work, enabling you to share your vibrant worlds with, say, your players in your role-playing group, but also having a great look, accessible, world-building presentation of your world for anyone to check out, which can be a phenomenal complement to your writing and world. Indeed, Campfire and I have teamed up to show you just how this can be done with the Chronicles of Everfall Campfire Explore page. You can go check out and learn all about the world of my novel, Chronicles of Everfall, Shadow of the Conqueror, and see just how you can create your own awesome presentations for your fantasy worlds that you can give access to people to check out, with the possibility of being able to monetize your work Patreon style in the future. So Campfire has just gotten even better with campfirewriting.com. It is a phenomenal product with one of the most flexible payment structures that you can find, where you can pick only the features that you intend to use and you don't need to pay for things that you never get around to using in the first place. You can choose to do one-off purchases or opt for monthly subscriptions, which can be as affordable as $1 a month. It is absolutely brilliant, a phenomenal tool for any writer, world builder, role player, and anyone developing a world at all for whatever project you're working on. So do go check out campfirewriting.com. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video, and there is, of course, a link in the description below.
There's fairies in Skyrim, I forgot. Why are there no Khajiit weapons? You can defeat Khajiit with a laser pointer. Ball of yarn.